And recording has started. Good morning. Welcome to the Tuxedo Farms meeting. Today is May 18th. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. Should we start with the Pledge of Allegiance?
If it makes you happy, of course.
Okay, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Why not?
Why not?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Julie, you want to just read our agenda? I didn't print it. I think it's just one or two items on there. I think we got the approval of minutes and then a discussion, but why don't you just clarify that?
Yep, you're absolutely correct. So the next is approval of the minutes, and then we'll move into old business, which is discussion of operations and maintenance expenses.
Very good. I'd like to make, I don't have the minutes in front of me. Does anybody know the date of that meeting?
March.
March 23rd.
March 23rd. Of course, this pen doesn't work. Here it goes, brand new pen, contact staples, the pens don't work. Thank you. Oh, this is a fancy one. I like this.
It's a real pen. It's a real pen.
It's a real pen. What did you say, March what?
March 23rd.
23rd. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 23rd meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Michelle Lindsay. Any edits, additions, comments on the minutes?
My only comment, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Please,
Was we requested an annual report from the SW Corp. When are we expecting that? Was that a report, were we requesting a report for 2022? Or were we requesting an annual report to be created in the future for 2023?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that will come up in the other business discussion, I believe.
Right, okay.
So, since we don't seem to have one, we'll restate that. That need will come up, I think, in that discussion, Michelle, if that's
Okay,
satisfactory
yeah, that's
for
fine.
you.
I just didn't know, like, we would have one in the next couple of months for the
Right.
previous year.
So we'll just reiterate
Okay.
those needs. So the motion is to approve the minutes. Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved, which moves us to our discussion. So I had sent out an email, and we did receive a first quarter true up from the Sewer Corp, which is effectively related. And I guess, Molly, is your team that would be leading that basic overview of that report?
I have not had a chance to review that yet.
Okay, well,
Let's go
Tru-
through it.
truth be told, I haven't either, so we're all on the same page. Why don't we just kind of go through it and see what it says? I don't know, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but make this a tutorial as to what you see on this page and this general ledger.
Well, at the end of it, the report, you have, let's see what page that's on. On the third page, under sewer operations expense, and then maybe we can go backwards from there. You see
I
that?
do, yeah.
Okay, so, for the first quarter, and this is everything year to date, right? So we only had March operations and maintenance. It's $96,000, so I was just curious if that's about how much we might be expecting in the future.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main question here. We know with the inflow and infiltration, that the contingency, which I think was around $50,000, probably will be expended. I haven't seen the invoice yet, but we're trying to get a handle on how the overages and keeping track of those, like as Board Member Lindsay is pointing out, we're 96,000 is certainly above the 20 some odd $1,000 we were expecting.
So if you're looking at the general ledger,
Yes.
that the $96,000 is actually January, February, and March. It was paid all in March, but it's for the first 3 months.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
But
sorry.
when was the actual switching
Activation,
over? The actual date?
January 14th.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
So for all intents and purposes, this is the, you know,
the quarter,
it's the quarter.
excellent.
It is more than we expected. We, you know, which is, there's significantly more I than was thought, right? Which appears to be what's causing this issue. So, I mean, Rob and Ken going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing. We're working to knock that down. We have the sewer law now, so we can get people to stop their inflow once we discover who's doing it. So these numbers should come back down to our expected costs, hopefully quickly. And we are coming out of spring. You wouldn't know it today. So we should be having overall less water, stormwater coming in. Hopefully, assuming we don't have a wet summer, which will also help. Right.
It's been a very dry summer or winter so far.
Yeah.
So, we haven't had rain in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And the next 10 days or so, a little bit on Saturday, but no rain for the next 10 days either. So it's been a low flow time, which should correlate to the flows at the sewer plant.
Right. And we've got better we're metering our output also, so we have a better handle on, I'm not suggesting that anybody is doing anything illegal or immoral against the Constitution, but we've got our own meter now too, so we have another way to make sure that everybody is reading the data correctly.
Correct. It's been in since the 4th of May. I have some rough data, but it came out on an Excel spreadsheet, which means nothing until you have it analyzed and when they give us their report, it's a monthly report. I'm going to keep it in for 2 months. I extended it another month just to keep it. Because the cost is one thing, but the other month is minimal, is $1,500 for a month. So we may as well keep it for 2 months to make sure we're metering it correctly.
So I guess we're kind of talking about the monitoring and mitigation that we've done so far. Rob, I know you and your team have replaced quite a bit of linear feet of pipe on Mountain Road in the hamlet of Tuxedo and some in the Tuxedo Park area. Could you give a brief rundown of what that entailed?
Well, I'll start at the beginning. What
Okay,
we did
thank you.
was, first off, we mapped the entire system. Broke the town down into 4 separate sections, or broke the system down into 4 separate sections. Then we inspected every manhole, lifted every manhole, checked every manhole. Upon doing that, we noticed where our flows were greater. So we've had the lines cameraed or inspected with a camera type device that gave us the areas where our inflow is. And we have a majority of our inflow is coming up through the village. We have Mountain Road has an inflow, and up around the, I'm gonna call it the hospital, but up around the
Promenade.
promenade up there, we have some inflow up there. We've completed Mountain Road to another day or so, and we should have that completed. The one manhole we might go back to just to put a bypass drain with gravel, so that if the groundwater builds up behind it, it'll drain off instead of sitting against the manhole. And then that Mountain Road will be complete. So that should take care of that section. We have to start working in the village, which is gonna take a bit more work, and we're gonna see how much of that we want to line instead of replace. Because some of it, we're gonna just have to out and out replace, and others we can line. I spoke with several companies. The problem is the 6-inch pipe. A lot of them don't line it. I have a line on so to speak. I have a line on a couple companies from up in Albany that do 6-inch lining. So, and that's coming from Precision, which is not the company we use, but another company that does lining in New York State, so.
So on 6-inch pipe, do you have any idea, maybe between you and Sean, when you reline it, how much diameter do you lose? Is that a factor of consideration?
No. It's basically putting a plastic liner inside what's there, and it goes in a
Like a gel or something?
not a gel. It goes in like, the little blow-up things that go out and make noise.
Yeah.
It goes in like that, and as it
Then
goes in,
expands.
then it cures in place. They cures. They run a light up it, and it cures, and it fits the pipe. Sean can maybe speak to that a little better. But anyway, that lines it, because the pipes that we have now are in good shape, but you have inflow around the joints and things like that. That would eliminate that.
My understanding is that the thickness, the reduction in diameter is not significant, especially when compared to how much smoother the inside of the pipe is. So you actually get, even though it's a smaller pipe, you get better flow.
It's smoother, less friction.
100%,
Exactly.
100% correct, Jay. Yep.
So less friction, and then also you've created this now straight single section of pipe as opposed to having every bit of turbulence every time there's a joint and things
Right.
like that. It's,
And
hydrodynamics, fancy.
for the record also, all this expense is being borne by the Hamlet Sewer District, and, that's
It's
not
necessary,
the
although a lot of,
bottomless pot of gold. We have to carefully manage this.
right, although a lot of this, we're able to use the ARPA funds for
Yeah.
this because of the way the funding, because of the funding rules for that, we can dump this money in there. And in fact, it's exactly the kind of stuff they were hoping we would spend it on, so.
So do you have a guess as to how many linear feet you've already replaced?
Yeah, we replaced 90 feet up on Mountain Road and another 10 feet, 15 feet in the village so far. We have to map the rest of the village district, the sewer district in the village, because we're unclear as to who is actually on the line. We haven't found those maps. We looked in the village water plant, and we have to go back, and they have maps that are 100 and something years old that we have to go through and try to find where our maps end and where the sewer lines continue.
So the people that are listed, and that are assessed,
Right.
there might be more or less, I mean.
There might, I'm thinking there might be more, but I'm
More,
not sure.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
The way the dynamics is of the area and who flows from where and where the lines go. There may be more than we think, but I can't say that's true. We have to look that up first. So, but that is part of the project that we're doing, is looking that up, making sure we know exactly who's on our system. And then we have to go and this is part of the sewer law, the new sewer law that was passed. We will have to send out notices, anybody that has sump pumps, because I believe part of that was an issue up on Mountain Road. Anybody that has sump pumps and leaders and gutters that are draining into the sewer system is going to have to be notified that they have to correct that action. So. And the flow meter we have, and that's pretty much it. That's what.
So the camera inspection was originally guesstimated in the $60,000 range. I think we came in right around $32,000. I don't have that invoice in front of me.
Give or take, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So obviously that was nice. But we also ran into an issue because the company Inliner basically was bought out or whatever and has now had a name change, management change, I guess. And so Sean, I'm not sure where we're at with actually recontracting with the new company.
Yes,
Do you have any update on that?
I do. And I know Rob's been reaching out to some contractors too. I spoke to Nate Holmes, who was the fellow that was in town doing the camera inspection work. He's definitely interested in doing the lining work. He does recognize that there are 6-inch lines and that is problematic for the many contractors, as Rob indicated previously. Nate has been trying to find with this new corporate structure whether they have the ability to piggyback on a contract like we did originally, which would eliminate any need for bidding and reduce your administrative costs associated with bidding. So far, he's been unable to find them. I'm going to connect again with him towards the end of this week. And if we can't find anything, we have to go out to bid to do lining work. It's not a tremendous problem, but it takes more time and there are administrative costs associated with that.
So one of my goals for this agenda is to Molly and Unicap, Stephanie, we know there's going to be overages on basically a monthly basis until we get this infiltration and inflow under control, until we get below our 100,000 gallons per day. We were expecting it to be more like 50,000 or under, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 100,000 gallons is our total allotment.
Right.
So all of our financials are based on 50,000 gallons a day. That's where we want to be.
Right.
So
My concern, Molly and Stephanie and Chris and everybody on this call, is that we get a monthly tally of overages and what those charges are covering, so that I know we've had discussions where Related is responsible for covering these overages in 2023, but it's also been disclosed to me that come January 1st, 2024, we'll get the bill for those overages. So it's not like they went away. It's not like Related is really, in my view, covering them. They're only, it's a temporary coverage. And Chris, if you want to address that and make sure board member, that's accurate, what I'm saying.
Yeah, I believe it is. I mean, if there's an overage over and above what has been collected pursuant to the rate and method in the special assessments, then, Related advances the money to keep the plant running, and the overage, the deficit, is then brought forward to the 2024 in this case, and the rate and method would capture that as part of the special assessment. And Molly, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
You're muted, Molly.
Yes, I think that's correct. Stephanie?
Yeah,
Is that your?
that's correct.
So that's my concern, that the bill doesn't run up without monthly disclosure as to where we're at. So this board and working with Rob and Sean, you know, try to keep those costs under control and, you know, see if there's anything we could be doing along the way. But knowing
But
that it's coming,
But the overage is largely a result of the increased inflows, right? I mean, the budget was for 50,000 and it's been well over that. I think we're right to ask for an accounting of all the overages and the reason why it's an overage, but I think we're gonna find that it's under our control and not necessarily that Related is running around just spending money.
yeah, that's the concern. And, you know, let's face it, no disrespect, but the sewer corp, as I understand it, is Greg Goucher and Dylan Norris. And, you know, they have a contract with H2O.
I don't remember what they're called this
Yeah.
week.
H2O Innovation.
Right. I mean,
H2O Innovation. And, you know, they're not, Greg and Dylan aren't there on a regular basis. And, you know, again, you need to keep eyes on this stuff to keep costs down.
right, but
I-
most, sorry, go ahead.
No.
The, we've really identified what the issue is.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
No doubt.
there are two things that we need to do to solve this. And when I say we, this is in fact the town, not, put your
Yes,
different hats, right?
The Hamlet Sewer District.
That the so the town, specifically the Hamlet Sewer District, needs to get their I&I problem under control. We're working on that. The other thing that the town can do to help solve this problem is hurry up and get Tuxedo Farms building permits approved so that they start generating product, which will help in two ways. First of all, they will start to pick up more of the cost of plant operation,
Right.
which helps. And also, they will be generating more product, so our additional inflow won't be such an issue for plant operations.
That won't be so watered down.
Exactly.
Okay.
Neither of those things are things that we here sitting today can obviously do.
So I have a basic question,
Please, go ahead.
just so I understand. So there's a basic fee for them to run the plant, right? Regardless of how much inflow, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So, and.
That's how they
with
came
their-
up with the $310,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that, okay, so 310 was based on 50,000
Yes.
gallons. Okay.
Or less.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and I know we've had this discussion, so please remind me. We discussed that we thought that Related should be contributing to running the plant because they had been running the plant, keeping it open and running, so it was not going dormant.
Yeah,
Did we
the notion
decide that
was.
that was not gonna happen?
The notion was, there was an electric bill that was being paid and
That was
heating the
it?
building. You know, it was a couple thousand a month and at least. I don't think, Chris, I don't think we've ever really moved.
That was part of the negotiation for the side letter that we did. And that was one of the things that they pushed back on and we dropped.
Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't drop it unintentionally. It was intentional to get to an agreement
Right.
for the letter. I mean, there was a negotiation.
And
Right,
it's
okay.
not a significant amount of
Yeah,
money.
it's not
Right,
gonna.
okay.
It was like
So-
20 grand. Yeah.
Okay.
It was, so,
But over and above, I mean, how much does each like 10,000 of inflow add to the monthly cost? I mean, we have your basic based on 50,000. Do we know how much the, every additional
I don't know-
10
I don't know what we're paying
actually
by
adds?
gallon.
Yeah,
no.
okay.
But again, there are also larger issues. It's not just that we have more flow. Because this flow is clean water,
Right, it's
it
messing up.
makes it more costly to operate the plant because we have to,
Oh.
they have to,
Okay,
you know, we have to keep the old sewer plant open to handle overages.
yeah.
So,
And that leads maybe to a question to Sean. I know we've been communicating with Joe Fung at New York State DEC. the Speedy's permit for the old plant was set to expire this month. I know we filed for an extension. Any update on that, Sean?
No, we had followed up with them, you recall, several times going back, I think, to February or March, when we recognized this could be an issue. Joe finally sent us the paperwork we needed. You filled it out, and I submitted it, I think, the same day. I have not heard back from him. I did receive a call from Albany, which handles actual permitting. They had said that they received everything, but they didn't have an estimated time when we would hear back. So I can tell you, I did run into a similar problem with another community. It was just a regular renewal of their Speedy's permit. There was no modification of the permit or change in the plant, and it did take longer than anticipated, and it was entirely with the DEC. They just took longer to process it, and when we questioned it, they just said that they just didn't have the personnel to get everything done as quickly as they needed to. So, but I will follow up today, Ken, with them to see where they are with that.
So as you know, the overages and discharges to the Ramapo River, which is where the outflow goes, we've now been contacted by the EPA that now wants an update as to, which is why I wanted to get on the record here for this LDC, all the actions the town has taken. And so we'll be collectively authoring a response to the EPA that advises them of everything we've done. And, you know, I think the financials are an important part of this to show, look, you know, the town is putting out everything we possibly can. And we certainly are open. The letter from the EPA actually touches upon the possibility of help. So we're open to help, that's for sure. So we talked a little bit about this issue with DEC and EPA. I think we pretty much updated where we're at with the mitigation by the town. Anything you want to add, Sean, this time?
No, what I'd like to do is, separate from this meeting, is schedule a follow-up with you and Rob and anyone else. I know we had a good recent discussion with the new operator at the plant, and he was going to look into the flows. And I think he was also going to look in the run times at the pump station. I never received anything from him, so perhaps we can all get together next week like we did earlier this month or late last month.
We should, but I would say let's wait till we get the information from the flow meter that we've installed.
That was my next
Okay.
question. I know you were reaching out to that.
Well, he sent me Excel spreadsheet stuff that I can forward to you.
Okay.
Hard to understand, hard to read, because it's taking out minutely, hourly. So the numbers are, and being how it's from the pump station, it only flows at certain times.
Okay.
So the readings are only certain times, you know.
So obviously when the pump kicks on,
Right. Then you have 7 inches of flow and you have this, that, right. So, but I can forward that, what I have to you.
well,
And then
if it
when-
doesn't make sense to you, it would probably make less sense to me. So obviously Sean should be on
I'll send
that.
it to Sean, but at the end of the month, our month period, they're gonna give us a full report. And then they'll break it down and put it in layman's terms so we can all understand.
Right, yeah.
So my thought is that we might want to wait till we have that data
That's fine.
Sounds like we have it, but just need some interpretation.
in a functional form, but that's
Right.
fine. We should send what you got so far
I'll send it to you.
to everyone, and maybe Sean will be able to look at it and go, oh yeah, I know exactly what this means.
Right.
That would be good.
We'll be going, what'd you send that to me for?
So does it say anywhere on this 3-page spreadsheet, anything about how much the contingency has dropped?
Well, I see two transfers and 1 contribution that I had a question on.
Please, okay.
So first page under O&M, there's 2 transfers, so I'm just not 100% clear myself on what
The
what
first one, I
account
know what
that's-
it is, the 55,000.
Yeah, that's what the sewer district, right, pays? or-
That came out of the $310,000 that we collected. I'm sure Chris can explain it, but, and Molly, this was the calculated contribution for year one, something like that?
That's correct.
From the user fees, right?
Yes, from, we collected $310,000 in 2023, so the difference, 310 minus the 55 will end up in our fund balance, but.
That would be, that was probably what the second transfer is, because it's 254,
Base,
255, if you will. So you add those two transfers together, there's your $310,000.
Okay, so all the
That's
money's
right.
been transferred, okay. So then, that makes sense. Then under sewer operations account, there's it's listed
page
as
is that,
I'm
please?
sorry, it's page 2.
Okay.
Sewer.
Got
second.
it, yep.
The 352,000, I'm not sure what contribution means. Is that what related is contributing, or?
Sorry, I actually don't see where you're at.
Page 2. Oh, here, this one.
What, thank you.
So I'm just curious where that is coming from.
Did that come from my
I
account?
believe that's the escrow deposit.
Yeah, that I think came from my account, right?
That's what I was thinking, Howard, right. So that's to subsidize, correct? Isn't that what that amount was for, that 350?
There was an escrow amount that has been
Escrow, right.
generally been discussed as being monies to be used to help ramp the
Transition.
ramp the user fees, if you will.
Yeah, okay. So I just want to make sure that now that escrow has all been transferred from Howard's account
To Municipal.
so there's nothing left in the escrow, I'm assuming.
Not in Howard's escrow, but in the LDC books, you didn't utilize the full 320,000 for 2023.
Correct.
Okay.
And I just would, if you recall, Related had an issue with taking Howard's escrow. Howard, I don't know if you closed the loop with them.
I haven't heard anything back with them.
Okay.
No.
So there's still, Chris, there's still 320 in escrow?
No,
No,
I
okay.
think we used, and Stephanie, I don't remember the number, but we used a portion of that 320 this year. And that's there to, kind of phase in the Hamlet districts. That was in the from the MOU, I believe.
Yep, that's correct. So the 352,000 was deposited with the trustee. Of that amount, 254,000 is being used this year to cover the O&M expenses. So Michelle, that $254,000 transfer that you first asked about,
Right,
that is from those escrow funds.
from the escrow. So somewhere we still have a balance from the 310, but that's not
That's
in
in the
this
town.
account.
That's
It's
in the
still
town.
in the sewer district
That's
account with the town.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We
So-
only transferred the 55.
So we transfer, I'm trying to work this out in my mind. So we transferred the 254 to add up to 310, which is what we were expecting the annual cost. Is that why we transferred that exact amount from Howard's escrow?
Well, the entire amount was transferred from Howard's escrow.
Right,
So
but then
in the
transfer,
LDC books, 254 was used this year, leaving a balance of about what, 98,000, Stephanie?
Yep, 97,710.
And if I remember right, Stephanie, there was about 50, low 50s already on the books for this purpose of covering operation and maintenance.
Yep, that's correct. The sewer operations account is required to have a $200,000 balance. That's the contingency requirement. Before that escrow deposit was received, the balance was 53,000. Then the escrow amount was deposited to reach that contingency requirement of 200,000. It of course was above that because the escrow amount was 352,000. Of that amount of the escrow amount though, 254,000 is being used this year So there is, you could say there's $97,000 remaining from that escrow deposit. But the balance in the sewer operations account is at 152,000 right now, which is below the contingency requirement of 200,000. And we've talked about this, but it was anticipated that that would occur this year. So next year, we will have to budget replacing the sewer operations, or replenishing, I should say, the sewer operations account to that $200,000 contingency requirement.
So in my mind, that means that $200,000 always has to be there, so as
At a point in
if
time.
operational costs continued at the rate they are now, we'd have a problem, Houston, it sounds like.
So
Chris,
we're-
I know you wanted to say something, excuse me 1 second.
Well, the 200,000 has to be there at the beginning of the year, right?
Okay.
When the rate and method calculates the special assessment. It will be calculated in a manner to make sure at least $200,000 is deposited in the beginning of the year from the receipt of the special assessments for the contingency fund to be funded up to the required levels. It doesn't mean it has to stay at that level all year. It means that's what it's there for. You use it, and once you use it and it goes below 200, you replenish it the next year.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm sorry, I know Chris was waiting. You lost your thought, sorry.
That's okay. Oh, so I know what it was now. So we still have this 250 left in the Hamlet Sewer District account.
Yes.
So just each month at least we have that coming in. I don't know if that'll help.
But of course, the Hamlet Sewer District has the sole burden of fixing the collection
Oh,
system.
that's true.
Right.
too.
That's what that's what that money's for, right?
Well,
And that's why, excuse me, and that's why we have to really keep tabs on these overages, because at some point, and Howard's guided us on this, we're gonna more than likely have to do some kind of a bond and we need to figure out when does that start happening? But that's probably not a discussion here for this LDC.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe we should talk about it at a town board meeting where we stand with the Hamlet Sewer District account, because we have the 310 we collected for user fees, but we also had some fund balance. And how much is that available for the repairs, and where do we stand with the money left?
Well,
But that's not for this.
well, but that
meeting.
leads to, it was talked about, communicating with the users, you know. Julie had prepared at least a mailing, the envelopes to get us prepared to do a mailing. And of course, then this I&I problem came up, and, you know, we didn't want to send out a mailing without knowing what we need to inform people about. So I see now we have a new sewer law. We need to inform all the users about that. We certainly want to update them on all the actions Rob's team has been doing. I'd like them to have a tour of the new sewer plant next to the old sewer plant, so they understand that even though there's still a lot of work to be done, there should be some consolation that we're fixing it, and you have a new sewer plant. And also to understand why rates have gone up, and just basically bring them in the loop. So I'm hoping we do something like that in June. That would be my target.
And that we've also been using the money we've received from the federal government.
Yep, just a
For
total
ARPA
update,
funds.
you know, of what the situation. Rob, you wanted to say something?
Well, I have a question. The 96,000, 97,000, whatever it was, for the first quarter, that was a total cost to operate in the plant? Do we know?
See, I'm not sure.
Yeah, because we haven't gotten. bills.
Well,
That's-
that's our understanding. I mean, I would make that the assumption, and
So
if
then,
Related comes back and says it's more, then they're gonna have to show us why.
Well,
okay,
so H2O Innovation is billing 1/12 of their budget every month. And each quarter, they're required to provide a reconciliation of their actual costs versus what they billed. And I believe we just got that very late last night, and I have not had a chance to review that.
so it's costing us 33,000 a month to run the sewer plant. And that's including with the overflow, with the INI,
Well,
correct?
I think probably one of the big tip-offs there, Molly, is how much of the contingency did they use in the first invoice? And it was a lot. I think it was like $40,000 or something.
I believe through requisition, O&M requisition 4, which we haven't approved yet, they'll use the entire contingency.
Right, so, Rob, there was $50,000 in contingency that was expected to cover any overages for the whole year. So that's already been expended, so that to me is like a big,
In the first quarter, so that.
Yeah, it's
50,000,
scary,
so
yeah, to
that
me.
would Lower our cost, or our 33,000 a month operating cost would be, that would be on top of that? The contingency?
well, the 1/12, as Molly
96?
was saying, was the expected, okay?
Right.
1/12 of what was allotted
Were there
to,
any other costs on the 112 above that?
I think that's part of the question is, has Related paid any invoices that they can't bill us? Because I see Howard has his thumb up. You want to comment?
Yeah, that was supposed to be a hand, sorry.
No worries.
I think you're talking about two different things. One's the cash flow issue, and the other is the cost of operations.
Right.
Right.
So, according to this journal, the general ledger, it looks like the total for operation expense is the 96,000. If there's any other costs, they don't seem to be showing here in the ledger that relate to the operations.
And do we have a budgeted number of what it was supposed to cost monthly to operate the plant?
Well, it's 310 divided by 12 as
Oh,
far as
okay.
I could figure.
Yeah, so, okay. And that's with INI or without?
It's, yeah, because we pay by the gallon, so.
So that's basically $26,000 a month, Rob.
Right, okay.
25,833.
So it's cost, if it's 25 and it's 33 roughly divided by 3 months, right? It's 33, so it's costing us 10 grand a month for INI. Basically.
Well, and then plus the town is still paying the Hamlet Sewer District
For the
for
60.
the old plant, which is, I'd guess, around
$10,000 a month. We're
Yeah.
about double what we should be,
Right.
is where we,
okay.
is the total answer,
Gotcha.
so.
Okay.
But the last invoice you have, it's mostly H2O. That's the one we're looking at, right?
H2O is the one who operates the new plant.
Okay, so the last invoice that was paid was March 17th, so there could possibly be another one? If you were looking to get the true quarterly costs?
Yeah.
Okay. But Molly said that did come in, right? The one
That
from,
was for April.
oh, okay. All right,
This is probably, yes.
okay, that's good.
So
Got anything else?
I'm not sure. I think my goal was to kind of get this on the record and anything we're missing, Howard? Chris?
I don't think so. I think we all know what the focus has to be on, and I agree, Ken, that we should be asking related to keep us, give us more information while this overage is taking place so we can stay on top of it.
Yeah, and I think the town board needs to focus on the hamlet issues from the town board's perspective and get a better handle on the actual costs to be anticipated and how that's going to be funded, and start planning a budget for that for the rest of this year and next year.
Okay, so if there's no further discussion,
Are we setting a meeting date for the next meeting?
are we setting a meeting date? What do you think, Julie and Chris and Howard?
So, what's the action at our next meeting? Let's start there.
Okay.
Just an update maybe, I don't know.
Well,
Where
I
are
mean, what's the next meeting? Let's start with the easy one. What's the next meeting that we have to meet the requirements of the LDC?
The next would be to adopt the special assessment in August, right? And I think that's been slipping. Maybe it's been into September.
It's been into September and October, yes.
But it might be good to have a meeting after the 6-month numbers are in.
Okay. So the 6-month numbers would be
End of June.
beginning of July. So we're talking about the middle of July after the holiday.
Will we have enough? Yeah,
If we have
if everything comes in.
if everything comes in, so,
Right. We will
But-
not have bank statements until probably the second week of July. That will include June.
so it sounds like we should have a meeting in
mean-
August to figure out the special assessment. Nothing's gonna change in 2 weeks that we can do anything about.
Okay,
August then.
seems like Thursday's been our magic day. I don't know why, but why not? August 10th seems to be a lovely day.
It's far enough in the future that I couldn't even tell you if I was booked up there.
Yeah. I
So,
have
but sure.
one thing on my calendar in August, so.
What time are you thinking of holding that meeting?
Jay likes to,
It'd be my preference to do it this same time so that, we can all get to our real jobs.
this is my real job.
The only caution I would provide is I have a conflict with another client that has their standing board meeting second Thursday at 10 o'clock.
All right.
If we did early, by 9 and we're done by 10, not a problem. We could move it to the following week, the 17th. That still meets the Thursday.
That works for me.
That's the one date I have.
Oh,
All right? Well,
course.
doesn't that,
A
how about,
doctor's appointment,
how about a
sorry.
Wednesday, but, instead of a Thursday?
I'm fine with
Is
that.
that anybody,
Okay, not a Tuesday and not a Wednesday.
Not a Wednesday.
not a Wednesday.
No, in the morning it's not a problem.
Oh, okay.
Talking about my golf league, that's at 4 o'clock.
No. So then, how about either the 9th or you want to do it the 9th or the 16th?
9th looks good.
Okay,
Okay.
August 9th, 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Tuxedo Farms. LDC, 9 a.m.
I'll send a calendar invite so everybody just gets it on their calendar. And then we'll
Perfect.
supplement with the documentation for the meeting, all the materials.
Great.
Fantabulous. Well, thank you, everyone. I think we're at the ever popular,
Oh, I do have one question.
please.
Howard, and Chris, when should we start, investigating a bond financing? Because I know from the last time I did one for the town, it took like about somewhere between 3 and 6 months to
Bond
get everything.
for what?
Well, I mean, just to anticipate, just to get the ball rolling, you know,
No,
as far as.
what would the bond be paying for?
You're talking about for the
Infrastructure?
town board, not
That's
the.
a town board, so
Oh,
that,
town
Yeah,
board,
that's-
okay.
yeah,
Right,
That's not this
thank you.
board.
Thank
You would
you.
do, the town would do a GO bond issuance,
GO?
general obligation, right?
Oh, okay, I thought it would have been just
Well,
a
that's the
sewer
town
district,
board
right,
anyway.
right.
All right, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 9:51. Do I have a second or a third?
sure, I'll second that.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank
Have a
you.
lovely day.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.